The confusing news about Jungkook, who was called arrogant by netizens again, became a hot discussion on cyberspace, triggering a wave of discussion that never subsided among fans and the general public. The name of BTS's Jungkook, who has been known as a hard-working, humble, and dedicated figure, was suddenly dragged into a negative narrative that developed quickly without the clarity of a definite source. The issue stems from a video clip and anonymous post on social media highlighting Jungkook's facial expression in a public moment, then interpreted unilaterally as cold, indifferent, even arrogant. In a matter of hours, the pieces were widely spread, twisted, and used as evidence by some netizens to build an opinion that seemed to be final. This phenomenon is not new to public figures of Jungkook's class. Immense popularity often goes hand in hand with an equally great risk of misunderstanding. Jungkook, who has been living under the cameras since he was a teenager, is often in a position where his every move is observed, judged, and judged without context. In this case, many observers considered that the arrogant accusation arose due to the public's excessive expectations of the idol. Jungkook is considered to have to always smile, greet, and show a friendly expression at every opportunity, regardless of his physical, mental condition, or personal situation at the time. On the other hand, this negative narrative is growing increasingly wild due to a social media culture that tends to favor controversy. The algorithms of digital platforms often encourage content that provokes emotions, including anger and disappointment. A video cut without context is easier to go viral than a long clarification that explains the real situation. As a result, public opinion is formed first before the facts have time to be examined. Jungkook fell victim to a one-sided framing built from assumptions and speculation, rather than from official statements or direct testimony. Interestingly, in the midst of the onslaught of accusations, many old fans actually recalled Jungkook's track record over the years in the entertainment industry. He is known for keeping his head down when greeting staff, often thanking the stage crew, and several times being caught on camera helping others behind the scenes without seeking attention. These stories re-emerged as a form of resistance to arrogant narratives that were considered unfair. For the army, the allegations felt awkward and contrary to the image of Jungkook they had known for a long time. Nevertheless, the debate does not stop there. Some netizens remain adamant that Jungkook's change of attitude is a sign of success that makes you forget yourself. This argument is often based on the perception that fame and fortune can change a person. Without concrete evidence, the assumption is constantly repeated until it sounds like the truth. This is the point where breaking news begins to blur the line between opinion and fact. Jungkook is not given the space to be an ordinary human being who can be tired, silent, or keep his distance in public spaces. Observers of popular culture judge that this case reflects a larger problem in the way society treats idols. The public often demands emotional perfection from public figures, as if they should not show their human side. When Jungkook appears to be quiet or does not react as expected, it is immediately interpreted as arrogance. In fact, reticence can mean many things, from fatigue after a busy schedule to efforts to maintain privacy in a crowd. Until now, there has been no official statement from Jungkook or his agency directly responding to the allegations. This silence actually sparked new speculation, although many people considered that not all rumors were worth responding to. In Korean entertainment, choosing not to respond to a particular issue is often seen as a strategy to dampen the flames, not an admission of guilt. Unfortunately, this logic is not always understood by netizens who are hungry for instant clarification. In the midst of a vortex of conflicting opinions, one thing is clear: how quickly a person's reputation can be jeopardized by incomplete pieces of information. Jungkook, with all his achievements, remains a human being who is not immune to the subjective judgment of the public. The confusing news about him is a reminder that in the digital age, truth often has to fight hard against perception. In the end, the issue of Jungkook being called arrogant by netizens reflects more the dynamics of social media than the personality of the idol himself. A narrative constructed without context is easy to lead an opinion, while clarification takes time and patience. For Jungkook, This may be just one of the many storms of opinion he has had to face in his long career. For the public, this should be a moment of reflection to be wiser in judging, so that confusion is no longer a pseudo-truth that hurts for no reason. This issue has slowly evolved into a mirror of how the public treats figures who have been placed on a pedestal for too long. Jungkook, who since his debut has been known as the Golden Magne, seems trapped in an image that gives him no room to change or simply breathe. When he smiled, the public praised him. When he was silent, the public suspected him. It is at this point that the arrogant accusation feels more like a projection of some people's disappointment, rather than a reflection of Jungkook's true attitude. Many netizens forget that the camera does not always capture the whole story, and 1 second of flat expression cannot represent the character of a person who has lived in public for more than a decade. Some fans who have followed Jungkook's journey since the beginning have revealed that the changes are natural. Age, experience, global pressures, and the weight of expectations can shape how people express themselves. Jungkook, who is now more calm and reserved, is considered not a sign of arrogance, but of maturity. He is no longer reactive to every cheer, not always displaying the same cheerfulness as when he was a teenager. However, this change is often mistaken for an emotional distance perceived as cold by those who see only the surface. On the other hand, this phenomenon also shows how quickly negative labels are attached to public figures without a verification process. A single post can spark thousands of comments, and thousands of comments can form a collective opinion that's hard to straighten out. Jungkook became a vivid example of how a confusing narrative can beat years of track record in just a short time. Even neutral actions can be drawn toward bad interpretation when the public already wants to believe in a particular story. Over time, the discussion of these pompous accusations began to subside, being replaced by other, no less sensational topics. But the former remains. Every issue of this kind leaves a psychological imprint, both for the idol and for the fans who feel they must continue to defend. Many soldiers expressed emotional exhaustion from having to repeatedly explain that Jungkook was not the figure netizens portrayed. They judged that public love is often conditional, easily turning into sharp criticism when idols no longer live up to expectations. In a broader context, this case is a reminder of the importance of media literacy in the digital age. The public is required to be more critical, not easily provoked by pieces of information, and dare to restrain themselves before judging. Jungkook may never directly refute every rumor, but his silence can also be read as a form of constancy to stay focused on the work, not on the temporary noise. In the end, the confusing news about Jungkook being called arrogant by netizens is not just a story about an idol and rumors. It's a portrait of how fame, expectations, and social media intertwine to create narratives that are often far removed from reality. Jungkook will continue to go his own way, while the public is faced with a choice: join in the confusion or learn to look deeper before labeling.